Pipelineistan, and the 2028 campaign begins. It's 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit that like button, and then stick around after the break to find out how to guarantee we never get canceled. Item number 5 today, Gaza. The United States and Israel have reportedly asked 3 East African governments to accept forcibly displaced Arabs from Gaza. This is according to U.S. and Israeli officials who spoke to the Associated Press. On Friday, AP reported that the U.S. and Israel had begun discussing the forced displacement of Arabs from Gaza with the governments of Sudan, Somalia, and the breakaway region of Somaliland, part of Somalia, not internationally recognized, but de facto independent as of this point. President Trump suggested in February that the U.S. could take over the Gaza Strip. It was assumed that that meant displacing Arabs, which of course prompted Egypt and other Arab nations to draft an alternative plan. The $53 billion proposal from Egypt rejects the displacement of Palestinian Arabs and instead focuses on redeveloping the enclave without moving anybody out. As President Trump has said, it is essentially a demolition zone at this point. Where are they going to live? There is no place that is humane for people to live at this point. Well, the foreign ministers of Somalia and Sudan have both denied receiving any proposal from the United States. Both said that such a plan is unacceptable, but bear in mind, both of those countries are both majority Muslim, and if they had received such a proposal, would likely not tell anyone for fear of angering their people. Topic number 4, Jumpin' Jack Flash. That's just a reference for boomers. I'm the tail end of the baby boom, but if you're in that age group, you probably remember the reference to the song by the Rolling Stones. Not that I'm endorsing or recommending the Rolling Stones, mind you, but the following line, Jumpin' Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. Well, that's apparently what's going on in Syria. We've been saying for years that the whole conflict there that began with the rebellion against then President dictator Bashar al-Assad in 2011 was all about who controlled the flow of natural gas across Syria. The Sunnis and the pipeline from Qatar through Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and then on to Syria, then through Turkey and on to markets in Europe, or from the other side of the Persian Gulf, from Iran through Iraq, majority Shia, and through then Syria, which at the time was controlled by the Alawite Bashar al-Assad, Alawites being a sect of Shia Islam. So essentially what you've got here, the Sunni pipeline running through the Sunni nations versus the Shia pipeline. Well, now with HTS, the Sunni offshoot of al-Qaeda, kicking the Alawite Bashar al-Assad out of Damascus back in December, now you've got Sunnis in control, ostensibly, of Syria. Makes you wonder if that might be behind the sudden agreement to bring the Sunni Kurds, who are not Arabs, but they at least share a religion, into the government, as the Kurds control the oil and gas-rich eastern region of Syria into the Arab-led HTS. With all of this now comes word that Qatar, out of the goodness of its heart, mind you, plans to send natural gas onto Syria to ostensibly take care of the electricity generating crisis in Syria. So we'll just pipe some natural gas to Syria so they can use this to generate more electricity, because they were only getting a few hours a day of electricity through most of the country. While the gas is there, might as well continue that red pipeline north all the way through Syria and onto Turkey and onto Europe, where the Europeans are looking for an alternative source of energy to the natural gas that they were getting from Russia prior to the beginning of the war with Ukraine. Yes, I think that is more likely what's going on here. This is the first step toward resurrecting the Sunni pipeline and Qatar's ambitions to sell its natural gas, the world's largest reserves right there in the Persian Gulf, from its side of the Gulf to Europe, rather than letting Iran do it. Topic number 3, beyond reasonable doubt. Journalist Alex Berenson last week cited 2 large German newspapers that revealed Germany's Federal Intelligence Service, the BND, has long had evidence in its possession that the COVID-19 virus originally came from a U.S.-funded lab in Wuhan, China. Who knew? Now, the Daily Mail in the UK reports that a former spy chief had submitted a secret dossier to the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson, early in the pandemic, reporting that the virus had originated with a leak from a Wuhan facility. Except that Patrick Vallance, who is the United Kingdom's equivalent to Dr. Anthony Fauci, quashed it, said, no, nothing to see here. Move along, citizen. Classified dossier compiled by Sir Richard Dearlove, the former head of MI6, their equivalent of the CIA, basically, was passed to then Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the start of the outbreak, or near the start of the outbreak, March 2020, which stated it is now beyond reasonable doubt that COVID-19 was engineered in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Well, Dearlove has now released a news statement, quote, Boris himself was persuaded by the argument, but the weight of the government's scientific establishment, already signed up to the Chinese narrative, prevailed. So here is what we know as of now in March of 2025, 5 years on. The former head of MI6 told Boris Johnson it was likely a lab leak. In March of 2020, Johnson's equivalent of Fauci shot it down. German intelligence came to the same conclusion in 2020. In April of 2020, the U.S. State Department was issuing internal warnings over the Wuhan lab that were leaked to the Washington Post. In January of 2025, Biden's CIA finally updated their official opinion to, yeah, it probably came from a lab. But the media, both the corporate mainstream media and social media, dutifully censored anybody who dared question that narrative as far back as February of 2020. Sharon and me on our program Sci Friday asked the question and had that show promptly deleted from all of the usual sources, just to keep this story from getting out and leading to where we are now 5 years later. But by this point, I think they're hoping that most of us will no longer be angry about it and say, okay, that's just history, let's just move along. Net result, sadly, is that many of us have lost any and all faith in not just the medical establishment, but the scientific establishment as well. Topic number 2, 2028. It's never too early to start campaigning, and I think it's not coincidental that within the last few weeks, both Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom, California's governor, have started podcasts. You see, they're looking at the traction that guys like Joe Rogan are getting with their podcasts and saying, maybe we can do the same thing. You see, there is a leadership vacuum at the top of the Democratic Party after this past election. The Democratic Party is in disarray, and both Obama and Newsom are trying to fill that gap. Now, both are struggling to get traction in the early going. Maybe they're getting a fair number of views by our standards, our humble standards here, but nowhere in the vicinity of a Joe Rogan or any of the other very popular, say, Jordan Peterson, popular conservative podcasters. But the bottom line is they are looking ahead to see if they can establish enough name recognition to take over for the as leaders of the Democratic Party come time for the official campaign to roll out sometime around 2027. Because as of now, the leaders in polls of likely Democrat voters in 2028 suggest that the candidates that they want most are Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. Oh, please let it be so. We can laugh, but a lot can and will happen between now and then. Coming up, Toronto. You got to do something about this. You really need better class of protesters. I'll explain why next on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the four corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this urgent new work when you order the Mystery of the Red Heifer special offer. Not only does this incredible opportunity include Mondo Gonzalez's new book, The Mystery of the Red Heifer, Israel, the End Times and the Building of the Third Temple, but it also includes the best-selling book, The Rabbis, Donald Trump, and the Top Secret Plan to Build the Third Temple with 5-part television series companion DVD by the late Dr. Thomas Horn. This incredible book with companion DVD uncovers for the first time the mysteries of the Antichrist's rise and his secret plans already in motion to build the abomination of desolation, the event that will trigger the apocalypse. These works reveal the connection between Donald Trump and the Third Temple. Is he Israel's modern-day King Cyrus, chosen by God to oversee its construction? Temple treasures. The recent archaeological discoveries that could reveal the Ark of the Covenant and other relics that tie directly to the construction of the Third Temple. And the abomination of desolation. What it is, why it's coming, and how world leaders are positioning themselves for its arrival right now. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $60. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the mystery of the Red Heifer special offer right now.
Item number one today, protesting. Over the weekend at the St. Patrick's Day parade in Toronto, a group of pro-Palestine protesters showed themselves to be historically ignorant on multiple levels. I mean, first of all, there's never been an independent state called Palestine, but we'll set that aside. You got to wonder why they were protesting for free Palestine at a St. Patrick's Day parade. I mean, traditionally, what did the Irish, especially in Patrick's Day, the 5th century AD, have to do with the Philistines or the Arabs? The answer to the question is nothing and nothing. Journalists went over to engage these protesters and said, "Happy St. Patrick's Day." Response, quote, "Bleep St. Patrick." Journalist, "What do you mean?" Protester, "He's a killer. He killed people. He got rid of people. He genocided people." Okay. First of all, let's just set this aside. Patrick was not even Irish. He was a Briton, like a Welshman, basically. He was captured by Irish raiders and enslaved. So Patrick was a slave who escaped slavery, accepted Jesus Christ. They went back to forgive his captors and preach the gospel to them. Now, unless they're protesting in favor of the snakes that he drove out of Ireland, so look, multiple levels of ignorance here on the part of the protesters in Toronto over the weekend. Toronto, do better. This week on Skywatch TV, we're talking about the red heifer, the mystery of the ritual of the red heifer. What is it for? Mondo Gonzalez, host of Prophecy Watchers, joins us to talk about his new book, The Mystery of the Red Heifer. You can watch the program right now. Our broadcast schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels, but we will broadcast on your schedule, which is what I mean when I say we will broadcast it to you right this minute. Wait till I'm done speaking, but then you can flip over to the Skywatch, unless you're watching us on the Skywatch TV app for Roku, Fire TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. You've got one of those on your smart TV. Your smart TV preloaded with one of those. Just make sure you get the Skywatch TV app installed and you can watch it with the click of the remote. You can also watch us on the internet right now, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit that like button. And rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or bring the program right into your smartphone or tablet, whether it's iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire. We've got apps for all of those. The app is free, and we've got links to the app stores to make sure you get the one that's right for your device at skywatchtv.com/app. 5 in 10 is online at YouTube. You can find us at 5 in 10. Also on X, formerly Twitter, at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.